Hey guys, so I told you last time that when we get started on this scene one, I actually wanted you to look at the list of characters. So right here in your folder, you're going to see list of characters. Um, and when you get in, I'm going to try to look and try to catch everybody who's in this scene or the act before we start going in to see what's going on in the story. In this one, the ones that are going to probably, that usually mess some people up, are minor characters. So Samson and Gregory, those are Capulets. Okay, now the Capulets belong with Juliet. She is a Capulet. These are servants of hers. And what we're going to see is it's introduced with them, and they're walking down the street, kind of being mouthy about the Montagues, which brings us to the other ones. So Balthazar and Abram. Balthazar and Abram are Romeo's servants. They're the Montagues, okay? And they belong with Romeo and his family. So the Capulet servants are walking down the street and they see the Montagues and they just kind of start making comments off to themselves about, or to each other about, you know, how much better the Capulets are and how there's some really derogatory things that are actually said from the Capulet servants about the Montagues at this point. And I told you before, Shakespeare gets to be a little bit, he's a little nasty there sometimes. So the other ones that I wanted you to look at, we're going to get introduced to Benvolio. Benvolio is Lord Montague's nephew and Romeo's cousin. Now, Benvolio is I would say very patient, and he's very level-headed. Okay, I told you before that we have, in the last one, that we have these two families who are quarreling, and Benvolio is part of the Montagues, but he's kind of trying to keep himself or keep their families from getting into trouble because the people aren't liking this anymore. The prince isn't liking that they're fighting anymore, and there's going to be consequences. The other one that comes in, though, is Tybalt. Now, Tybalt is very hot-headed. He is a Capulet, okay, and he's the Juliet's cousin. Well, Benvolio comes across the servants about ready to fight. He's going to tell them, guy's not a good idea, but Tybalt comes over and he's like, yeah, you wimp, you know, let's fight. Let's get this over with. And starts saying some things to try to entice Benvolio to fight. So when this is all done, we have more people who come in. We have the Montagues, Lady Montague and Montague. Those are Romeo's parents. And then Lady Capulet and Capulet are Juliet's parents. When we get introduced to them, all of the people together are kind of getting involved in this feud, and they react differently. So kind of like Tybalt and Benvolio react differently to the servants. Everybody reacts in their own way. So really watch the way that they are reacting to each other in this. Finally, we are going to be introduced to Prince Aeschylus. Okay. He is the ruler of Verona, and he comes in. When he comes in, he says, you know what? I'm just tired of this. And I really want you to pay attention. Try to figure out what the consequence is for them fighting at this point. All right, this brings me to the actual act. So if you go, and there was a link when you went in here, remember that I gave you the link that'll take you there. You just have to go into your April readings. So Act 1, Scene 1 is right here, and that's where you're going to find what I just opened up. All right, so when you get in, you're going to see right away Samson and Gregory in the house of Capulet are armed with swords and bucklers and shields and stuff. So they're going along their way when they see everybody. And this takes place for quite a while. I want you to pay special attention to what's being said and what you think they're actually saying to each other. Then everybody else is coming in. Abram comes in until finally Benvolio comes in. What I'm asking you guys to do, if we had our books, I would have you do Post-its and like leave little like, oh, here's what they're really saying. I'd like you to do that in your assignment here, okay, with an annotated biblia or an annotation. That means I just want you to go right here on the side. If he says something like, let's go to where it says, where Benvolio comes in. He says, part fools, put up your swords. You know not what you do. What is Benvolio saying? He is saying to stop fighting. Okay, that's really what's being said there. So I want you to comment in there, and everybody can take a different part and just see how we're doing. If you don't think that they're right, that's fine. If you took it a different way, that's fine. I'm going to go in and explain it later. So go through each part of this. You don't have to do that with everything, but especially some of the bigger parts. If you have the prince here, he's got this whole long piece. He says some different things. If you have things that you want to include, if you don't understand something, maybe you don't understand what this means, then put, I don't get this part. And we'll talk about it later. Remember, you have the discussion guides, and I want you to put the questions that you have in there. Or we can just do it in here. It doesn't matter. We can pull these up and everybody can look at them. So put your questions in, put your interpretations in, and we're going to look at those later when we all get together. So go ahead and read Act 1, Scene 1, and we'll see kind of how we're going with it. And this way I can kind of check your progress as you go.